Tier 2 is dead. It's hurt me in the heart. It's gone. It's all over. The tournaments we knew, the bracket play, the TL versus KC Classic is not going to be guaranteed. PRX versus GE that starts the match off, and PRX versus Fnatic that's always there towards the playoffs may never happen again, because in 2027, the VCT has changed, ladies and gentlemen. It's ShyoWager, it's Sideshow, TMV. The Vodfathers are taking our talents to new heights in 2027. We're going to be talking about things going towards 16 plus cities across the entire globe here. Josh, talk to me about these changes. Are they good? No more league play, bracket play in the business? What's going on?
I mean, that's sick. The fact that they're moving everything to a tournament format, I've been supportive of this very regularly. Me and Bren have been on this train repeatedly to the people making the decisions at Riot and publicly as well. Because they're just more fun, man. The worst part of the calendar, in my opinion, at the moment, as somebody who likes Valorant as a whole rather than following one specific team, the worst part of it to me is the round robin stage, where you don't, I mean, the teams are all playing against each other. It's exciting, but you don't know which matches are more important until you look back on them. The games don't have a natural crescendo. I think everybody across the community thought that kickoff triple elimination this year was best tournament format that we've had in terms of like a qualification to get teams to events. And we've really refined the like double elim. Like everybody knows what they're getting with double elimination at these Masters events, and once things get to champions in the playoffs as well. So I think we're in a good spot in terms of tournament play. Like people like tournament play. The only people who don't like it are the people who are like die-hard, let's say 100 Thieves fans, because they've complained about this in the past, where they get eliminated early on in a tournament and they don't get to watch their team play. And this is basically Riot giving a big middle finger to those kind of teams and just being like, get better then. Because there has never been a format, never been a VCT with less guaranteed viewership for partner teams. The partner teams will still get some guarantees because they get to play in kickoff at the start of the year guaranteed. But then after that, it's like you get later insertion into the open qualifiers, but that is no guarantee of success. So you may, I mean, like worst case scenario, man, if you're a partner team that sucks, you might go out, let's say they keep triple elimination in kickoff, they play 3 games in triple elim. Maybe you only get 2 games in open qualifiers, though it might be more like 4 or something.
No. This is the thing, right? So in total, right now, if you're a shit partner team or a bad partner team, you can bleep it out if it demonetizes. If you're a bad partner team, you have a guarantee you have a guarantee of 10 games, right?
Yeah.
So now this just changes to 6. So you're losing 4 games.
Well, no.
And
hold
4
on.
games.
Wait.
My point is, we don't know the format, so we don't know.
I know the format.
Well, in fact, I think we should go even further back and like just quickly introduce what's changing. So,
good idea.
Yes.
We're getting rid of stage, as you said, Sideshow. Like there is a normal, kickoff format happening, but now to get to kickoff, even there are open qualifiers. Yeah, right here there are open qualifiers that every team, it seems, needs to go through to get to what they're now calling cups instead of stages. We don't really know the format of the cups just yet. Will they be triple elim? Will they be some kind of hybrid Swiss tournament thing? We don't really know. We'll have to see, I suppose. And there are still partner teams, though we don't know how many. Again, there are a lot of questions still kind of to be answered by this kind of document that we've got here. But the partner teams will start later in the open qualifiers, but not directly through to kind of, what we would probably, not directly through to the LAN tournaments. These are happening online, these open qualifiers. And then, we don't know what's going on with how the format will work, but eventually, whoever wins that will go to Masters. But I think most likely, Shyo, there will be multiple open qualifiers.
Yeah.
To get
That's how they've done it in the past.
The cup, yes.
They've done
back
2
in
in the past.
olden days.
Back in the olden days, it was 2 big open qualifiers.
Yeah.
But they were single elimination, if memory serves. And then they fed into like a double elim thing at the end. So it was like single elim, and then if you got far enough in the single elim, those kind of combined into a double elimination tournament that you then played. So like that's why I'm saying in theory, possibly, like worst case scenario, if it's triple elim into double elim, you actually might be a bad partner team that only plays 7 games across the entire year. And like imagine being a tier 2 team here. If you don't make it like that deep. Obviously, you're going to be able to beat up on some of the easier teams in the open qualifiers. But if you're a team, but if you're a team from like Korea, do you remember how few open qualifier teams Korea used to be able to get? I mean, maybe the times have changed now. Maybe the game is just much more popular. But in a smaller sub-region, if you're a tier 2 team that's from that smaller sub-region, you actually might not play that many games just because there aren't that many other teams around you to beat.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing as well, and it's kind of been brought up, but I think this will be one of the problems, is that I'm going to assume that each kind of little sub-region, so again, for those of you who don't know, if you scroll down
real quick.
If you scroll down like to kind of the next one, the online tournaments, so the open qualifiers are being split into the little sub-regions, right? So it's not like America-specific EMEA China, it's North America, Latam, Brazil, as you can see there, playing online against people from your little sub-region. And I assume, as you say, like, for instance, South Asia will probably have a lot less teams than, say, SEA, right? And so obviously the tournament format will perhaps need to be slightly different to kind of, and obviously they'll probably have different amounts of slots as well that go into, their cup tournaments. So the formats will have to be slightly differently, and I'm assuming just from history, especially for 2027, maybe they'll fix it like as time goes on, but for 2027, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be some trolling in terms of the formats. There's going to be some terrible online qualifier formats, I'll tell you that right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just to make it clear for like some of the audio listeners, I know you're out there as well. So there is no more league play. There's no more like, oh, here are all the matches for 5 weeks into a playoffs. The playoffs kind of still exist as a more grand thing now with more teams. They're a bit more robust. I would have to assume, again, we don't know yet, but instead of having this LAN league play, we have online play now. TMV mentioned Americas, Pacific, EMEA, China. Americas is divided into North America, LATAM, and Brazil. Pacific is divided into SEA, Japan, Korea, and South Asia. China just has China Open qualifiers, even though they're the biggest region. God knows how that's going to work with all those teams. And then Europe's got, or EMEA's got Europe, MENA, and the Turkish region as well. So different amounts of regions per situation. Once you get into that kickoff stage, that's where you're having those regional kickoffs, the trophy that G2 wins, what PRX has won regionally and whatnot.
Those are on LAN. And then so once you win the online, you go to a LAN, which will be hosted in different cities, it seems. We're going to go on more of a roadshow in each of the regions, it seems. And then if you win that LAN, then you go to Masters as normal.
Yeah, and that kickoff also has like a actual, like, it's going to be in 2 places from what I'm hearing, because it's like kickoff regular tournament and then kickoff finals, its own thing, kind of like they were doing in APAC. So that's like
that. So if you are confused, that's how they're getting to this number of 16, because they say 20 plus different tournaments. I believe they're including the open qualifiers in that as well. But the 16,
GCC probably as well.
Potentially, yeah. But the 16 plus different cities is because each tournament, there are going to be times where you go to a different city. So even though, for example, like you're saying with kickoff, you could have that. I mean, what's an example from something we've done recently? There certainly are some.
Pacific, for example, Pacific have done their finals.
Korea
Japan.
to Tokyo. Or they're going to Ho Chi Minh, I think, for this one.
Yeah.
So, that's one tournament in 2 different locations. And I think that's what next year is going to look like by the sound of it more often. Which is cool, because normally when we do Masters events and stuff, we don't really travel between cities. Maybe they still won't change that for Masters or Champions, but if they're moving around anyway for that kind of stuff, then I think that opens the door to potentially doing that for the bigger events too, where you take it a bit more on the road, like from a completely one area to another. I think that's a huge positive, right? Like if we're going to talk about the positives of this format, one is what I said at the beginning, that tournament play tends to be more exciting. And the other is, if you live in a random part of the world, kind of no matter where it is, although with some exceptions, there is probably going to be an event near
Our
you.
Palau fans, I don't think, are going to get.
Well, the ones that I'm thinking about more are like the entirety of Africa and Australia. Like those are the big ones, I think, where it's just we never go there. There are very, very rarely esports events in those areas of the world, and mostly it's because there aren't as many fans in those areas too. But for everyone else in the world, you probably have an event coming towards your direction more than you ever have in the past. Is it possible you miss out kind of randomly? Yeah, but with this amount of cities, it's much more likely. And the smaller subregions will be less inclined to die if they have more pros playing like, like Bren always harps on, like, oh, Brazil and LATAM, they're never going to develop because they never get to scrim against the top teams. Well, now they kind of force some of the top talent to go to the sub-regions.
So this wasn't in right? the document, but is this what you're going to say, Shyo, about the 3 players? The rumor?
Yeah, so there's a lot to talk about. I want to go through like focus point for focus point and keep it kind of contained because we go on crazy tangents. The first thing I want to talk about is if you go to the path to global events picture down there, Light, if you want to, real quick, that just kind of shows us all the regions overall a little bit further up. There we go. Yeah, so all these smaller regional online qualifiers, you have to register in one of these regions, right? That's the understanding I have of this, if we're correct. Yes, okay. So to do this, like, yes, some of these teams that have gone across the globe, gone across regions when they combine kind of like some of the LATAM stuff for Americas and are living in LA, they have the option to go back home now. What hasn't been said here, but has been pushed over to the owners, which then got kind of leaked online on Twitter and whatnot, is that it takes 3 people that you have to have from this region that you're signing up for, I believe is what it is. Then you can live wherever and kind of play in that region and whatnot, right? You can be in whatever location, but you'll be signed to that region in a sense.
But also you can't really live wherever because of ping.
Because the ping.
So you have to kind of live in fact, as central as you possibly can to the region that you've selected in order to get the best ping, or at least boot camp out of there for the open qualifiers. Even if people continue to stay, let's say that a lot of the partner teams continue to stay in LA because it's just like a gentleman's agreement to stay in one area and practice against each other, you'd at least have to boot camp in your own region in order to get proper ping for your qualification games.
Well, here's my thing that I wanted to ask, though. Look at a team like Furia. Look at a team like GE, who are from the South Asian region, in a sense. What happens with these teams that have so many players who are not from the original region, that have more than 3 players that are now taken from somewhere else? Is this their last year? If they go back to their home city, they can only have, 2 imports. You have to boom the entire roster that already has so much storied purpose or collection, in a sense. What happens then for some of these organizations that are so endemic to their regions?
I think they're just gonna have to deal with this year is gonna be a crazy, just big change, right? Like in terms of who the partner teams are, obviously is gonna massively shake things up. I mean, it was like it was in 2023, right? Where we had a lot of partner teams. There was a lot of now scrambling for teams, and quite a few of the partner teams hadn't really done that much in Valorant, right? But we're now partner teams, so it was like there was a big scramble to get onto those teams, and some of them kind of kept very bad rosters that they had from before, or some of the players that they had already, if they even were in the game. So this offseason will be a mad scramble, and I think Global are kind of the most prominent example of this, because like the South Asia region is perhaps less talented than the others, right? Like Furia can get a decent Brazilian team, right? Like if they wanted to, like it might not be the best, they might not be the best team in the world, but like there are enough decent Brazilian players to where they could still make a competitive team, I think, assuming they were a partner team, or not, to be honest. But like you just expect the orgs, like the orgs, particularly from these regions, like Made in Brazil is another example where they're going to have to change their team.
I think that's the most
They're called Made in Brazil.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Be in North America? It makes no sense.
Well, let me take the first one first, which is Global Esports, right? Because Global Esports only have one player on a 2027 contract, which is Yudatan, who is Korean. So in theory, they could ask Yudatan, hey, are you okay with relocating to India? And then they build an Indian team with Yudatan, or they sell Yudatan to a Korean team. Yeah. And but I think that makes sense for Global Esports because they can be the home of Indian Valorant. And that is kind of what their fans have wanted from them. And they'll still have a chance to root. I actually think Global Esports is who this is made for, essentially, because it's super regional. It stops you having to wonder, what is my identity? Do I have to perform at a global level, or do I have to represent the region that I'm from? So you become the team of South Asia, and then you can run through the open qualifiers. And for the fans, there is still a huge amount of excitement of can we make it through open quals? Because even making it to a cup, then even becoming
surely they would dominate. No? Surely they would dominate. If they're the only partner team in South Asia, and again, we don't know how that split will go. Won't they dominate then in South Asia?
They should be able to make it, unless, but you're again assuming that South Asia directly sends somebody, Whereas actually what might happen
it
is
might not. Yeah.
South Asia sends people to an LCQ where you then fight against Southeast Asia and Japan for who actually sends someone. You know, none of this is cut and dry in terms of the format, so there's no, you know, that kind of stuff we just don't have the information for. MIBR, though, are crazy because, like you say, their name is literally made in Brazil. If you're in charge of that org, you are like, okay, well, obviously we are going to be a Brazilian team, right? But the problem with that is they currently have 4 players and a coach under contract until the end of 2027. They won't be able to use most of those players, but the choice before you, if your name was not made in Brazil, the choice before you is, do we keep this really good team and have chances of being able to go to Masters, go to Champs, earn a lot of money, remember, because what Riot have said is that the teams, even if they are not partnered, might still, if they do very well, like an MIBR would be expected to, might actually out-earn badly performing partner teams. Or do we go the other direction and become a Brazilian squad, which might never make it to a Masters? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's actually a really fundamental problem for MIBR as to whether they want to even be in partnership because of what that means for them. Now, I think for MIBR, they're in a weird spot because they have all of the talent and a lot of money, but their name is literally made in Brazil, and I think their fans would eat them alive if they went the, like, actual, like, good team route. So I think they're in a real quandary.
Yeah, that is tough. Let's talk about... Go on, Shayo.
I got a whole splang that covers everything. So the next thing I want to talk about, which is a VLR post actually about, you know, I think it just popped. I like browsing VLR, seeing what people are talking about, the Vodfathers. And there was one that was about fuck, marry, kill, Sideshow, TMV, ShyoWager. Okay, trust me, this is getting somewhere. Yeah, and the top comment was, who are these guys? And the guy said the Vodfathers. He's like, who? What are we talking about? And they described Sideshow as a caster. TMV makes the YouTube videos. And ShyoWager is an irrelevant Fortnite caster. And the guy said, oh, I get it now. Now, the irrelevancy of me was correct until this open qualifier format comes in. And I have all this 5-year history of being in this format, the beef that comes with it for the players, some of the problem points. And I want to talk about one for sure. Right now. Running on zero sleep for a second here. The first one is, and they mentioned this a little bit, but it's not really talked about by any circles right now. You get to keep champs points as a team from event to event, making it all the way through your kickoff, cup bracket, whatever it is, making it through all your masters to then go up against champs towards the very end. Something that used to happen in Fortnite, which was like, I think archaic in the first 2 years, it was squads. You would have your squad. There was no like consistent point accumulated tournament towards the end of the year. Everything was open qual. And so you'd see people snaking each other a day before. You would see teams break apart because one guy DM'd the other guy's girl or one guy stole each other's lollipops. These guys were like 13 years old. It was the weirdest beat. You threw my early game off spawn. I'm throwing $1 million away. I don't give a fuck. But so my question is, what do you guys think? Is this going to be like org-based in terms of who gets to keep the points? Is it player-based? How does that work? Because that's a whole conversation that, again, is a mystery to us and what's going down. Because
you really might get free agent teams, you know, doing extremely well, and at which point, like what? Because Riot right now, like once they get to Ascension, right now, you have to get an org, right, to go to Ascension, and then it's kind of the org that then has it. So I don't know
think
if
they can mandate that for cups. I really don't think they're going to be able to do that because there's more cups happening across the world. I mean, maybe they'll try. Maybe they'll say you have to have an organization in order to go to a cup. But the reason why I'm saying I don't think they can do that is because they're going to have to tell teams as they get even close to getting to a cup that they all need to go and apply for visas. Like, to me, that is
okay. So here's my second thing. Here's my second thing. So we've been talking about partnered teams, unpartnered teams, and this was kind of before all the stuff we were talking about here. But to be a partnered team, first of all, things have kind of changed from Riot's side. Every 4 years, they would evaluate partner teams, right? So we've only kind of had like one instance of it, basically kind of coming up in 2027. It's switching over to 2 years now at a time. That was not released in this document. I think that was the owner's document and then kind of talked about in general and whatnot. That's a change. Second change is, I think they kind of show us the parameters of what's going down. So I'm going to read them out really quick, but commitment to grow the Val community, right? So you're kind of in the space. Some residency amongst fans and your fandom itself and your actual content is VALORANT related. You're not just like a betting company coming in, trying to make an org and get partnered. Sustainability and responsible operations. Ulf, bleed. No, not again. operational excellence and established infrastructure, because sometimes it's like one 21-year-old doing everything, but you need roles. You need like an actual organization. And then the last thing is competitive success and performance development. You don't want to sign the best player, have him rot, have 3 metas change, and things are done. So they're looking at specific things in that sense. And one of the things too that's very interesting, the biggest thing in an open qualifier ecosystem is prize money really keeps the tier 2 scene alive. I mentioned that the tier 2 scene is kind of dying in this sense, but at the same time, everything kind of gets shifted to tier 1.5, right? So if you are a tier 2 team, if you are a band of 5, if you're wondering about how do you apply for visas, Riot have also said in this document that they're going to be sending money ASAP Rocky, but teams are like responsible for their own visas. They're going to be having to apply for those, seeing what's up, and in some type of relation there, having like regional based teams should make it a little bit less chaotic to like get a visa from Korea and this country and that country. At least you have like a 3 core.
I don't think that's true. I mean, the largest visa issues that we've seen are with the exact same system happening here. For example, Brazilians trying to get a visa for the United States, or a player from the Philippines trying to get a visa for Korea. So yeah, I mean, in some sense, you're going to avoid some of the issues, but I think the visas are still going to be an enormous problem for people to deal with.
I think that is the biggest problem, to be honest, with
the 16 plus cities as well too. It's going to be fucking insane.
Yeah. The more you travel, the more you have to just like, hello, I'm here as a tourist, like old esports shit, and that is a dangerous road to go down, man.
Yeah.
So for all the random teams, so they're going to be jumping in. You get prize money as soon as you hit kickoff. And it doubles apparently for if you make it to the Masters, and it doubles again if you make it to Champs. So that is the money.
Yeah, just to be clear, this is not prize money though. This is money to the organization. So it's like it's a performance incentive as well. So this is additional to the prize pool. So this isn't saying that like, the prize pool doubles and doubles again. This is the amount of money that Riot pays you for getting to that point as a performance bonus as an organization. So that's like. That is separate to prize money. So normally teams will have agreements with their players that like you split the prize money in some way or another. But this is a separate pot, which presumably the players are not going to negotiate for, even though it is based on their performance. But it's like trying to incentivize the orgs to actually pick up good players and make it deeper into tournaments.
Yeah.
From what I see, that's only available to partnered orgs. The actual performance bonus itself. Having a good performance in general should net you more money. I mean, at least from what it says on the doc.
Yeah, I clarified this, and it's 2 different things. So one is
cool.
So what they so there's a bonus that the organizations get for going into tournaments and going and qualifying to them, and that's the thing that would get paid out as soon as possible, so that they could resolve any cash flow issues and actually get to the tournaments themselves. So you wouldn't need to. Put all the money up front. But then there's additionally something that they're calling a performance bonus, which is what you originally said, which is like you get money based on how much you engage your fans, how good of an org as a partner team you are. And that's the one that only goes to the partner teams.
Yeah, and then the partner teams themselves have a base pay as well. This is what kind of separates, like, if you're wondering what's happening to my Sentinels, what's happening to my MIBR, what's happening to my KRX or whatever letters they want to go by 2027. They get a base payment, so they're in the business no matter what happens in the year. They're getting some form of, I can pay my salary, I can pay my overhead to a specific degree.
They're getting a team capsule.
They're getting a team capsule. The thing is, though, man, like, team capsules in Ascension rolled out so slow. If you're getting these many potential new teams coming in, when the hell are their capsules going to get in? And that's not even a guarantee, right? Like,
the amount of partner teams is going to go down, though. We're not talking about adding more partner teams in. The amount of partner teams is going down here. This is the same kind of stuff that we were talking about years ago, where they're cutting back on this kind of stuff.
My headspace on that, though, is if you're going to make a Masters and it's a banger event, I'm talking about Counter-Strike, because you're kind of comparing this now to with some open quals. If a random team makes it in called, the Dunking 5, they're going to have a sticker. They're going to have a capsule.
Well,
because that'd be weird if Sen has it.
But those are champion skins. That's different. So like the partner teams, let's say all the partner teams get cut in half. So instead of having 12 partner teams in a region, now you have 6. I'm just pulling this number out of my ass. Those are the teams that are going to get the team capsules. So you'll be able to buy the EDG bundle or whatever.
I see.
But the teams that make it to champions, for example, will get part of the champions bundle. And then they don't have any like specific, that's just, they
don't have ShyoWager's bundle. They just have the champs bundle.
I guess I'm
but what I'm hoping is with less team bundles that we get good ones again, like we did in 2023, because there's less to make.
Oh, if they're creative again, I hope to God. But that's everything for like all that stuff. The next thing I want to talk about really quickly, the last thing we can touch on this point, like if you can go back to that article really quick, I want to scroll all the way down to a specific section looking at the schedule. TMV, Josh and I were talking about this right before we went live. Dude, okay, so first is all regional. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 regions or something, maybe 12 happening at the same time.
Maybe more.
How are we watching this, guys?
Well, are we watching this? Is it even going to be in English? Are there going to be broadcasts, or are we going to be tuning in and watching, Brazilian in Portuguese? I think there's a real question there as to like, how do they even make that decision? Like, if 2,000 extra viewers would tune in if you give an English feed to the Brazilian qualifier, does that justify it? Like, what is the amount of viewers that would tune in based on having another feed that makes it worthwhile to pay for at least?
Because, like, again, like back in the day, if I remember,
extra.
Josh, like, for instance, Brazil didn't have like, if it was a Brazilian qualifier, there was no English broadcast.
Nope, never had one. The only ones that really did, because they already had infrastructure there, were Korea, if I remember correctly. Outside of regions that would otherwise you'd expect to be English.
Seth and Paper Thin, they gotta do something.
In-game replay system, maybe, like that could be a dope thing that could be updated to be able to watch. Like, okay, don't laugh too hard. Holy crap!
If I had to just guess, though, clean feeds, send them out to co-streamers.
Yeah.
But do you understand how many open quals are like the sheer amount of force there is in games to be able to watch?
Yeah.
Like, again, from the game I came from, the game had to adapt, and they literally made it so that inside the game you could find the replays you wanted to find. It's impossible in an open quals.
They ain't doing that. I mean,
man,
dude, you look at so the reason that they're not going to do that, in my opinion, is because they haven't built the game to do that, and it requires like
the slow as molasses to change things.
But the amount of effort that they had to go through to tack on a replay system when they didn't build it from the ground up with that installed, it was like an extraordinary amount of effort for them. Whereas you look at games like, the Source games, where it's just like built in from the ground floor, that's kind of easy. Like, dude, hopping into a Deadlock game and just being able to watch the top pros matches just inside the lobby, it's like a different world. But it is a different world because they built it using an entirely different system. So like asking Riot to do that at this point, there's no way, bro.
It's sure it's cope.
I have a little bit of cope because 2027 is also the year for League Next, which kind of changes their entire like ground up process for how that game works. And I'm wondering with whatever, like, it's literally
it's not even built in the same thing, is it? Is it even? That's not an Unreal Engine game.
But whatever tech they're using for that, they might be able to. Hey, we're changing.
I'm not a game dev, but that doesn't
it might come in 2031. I'm not saying that what you're saying won't ever happen.
Old,
but
bro.
It's the kind of thing that like people would want, and then Riot will go, oh, everyone seems to kind of want this, so let's get working on it.
Can I give you a even worse case scenario? Is that when you have an open qualifier like the one that runs simultaneously with Masters 1, why would they let you watch the games that are happening at the same time as Masters?
I mean, to be fair, I think when we're talking about the games that will be happening at the same time as like a Masters or something, like it showed there on that. And by the way, never, ever, ever trust one of those graphics that Riot makes, because they're always wrong about where things overlap. It always looks like, oh my God, there's no time here, but actually there's a 2-week break. It just doesn't seem like it on the calendar because of the graphic they've made. So we don't fully know that those open qualifiers are happening at the same time. And even if they are, and they might need to, because depending on how many teams enter, right? But like, yeah, it'll be Barry's mates versus Team Platchat. Like, would you care? Like, no one cares.
The unfortunate
it's a Premier game. You're watching like a fucking Immortal Premier game.
Sometimes you'll care because there'll be a big team that didn't make it to the first Masters who actually have to fight their way back through, especially if like.
But I'm assuming that what do you mean by big team? By big team, you mean non-partnered big team.
I mean a non-partnered big team. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's a non-partnered big team and they get upset by BBG in the open quals and you can't watch it, like there's gonna be moments that happen like that. They won't be common, but there will be moments.
True.
Can I ask you this question too, both of you? Mm-hmm. You look at that schedule. Where the fuck do they patch the game? Because
this was a.
It's a huge one, no? It's a huge one.
Yeah, it's
because
a big question.
The obvious thing is that you patch the game right after a Masters event, right? Or like, right after one of these big events. So you patch it at the beginning of the year, after M1, after M2, like they do now. They've actually really done a credit to Riot. They've done a really good job, generally speaking. They've had a wobbler just recently with the Waylay and potentially Neon stuff, but generally, they're actually really good now at timing these properly. Brand new format means you're patching in the middle of an open qualifier. That's crazy.
It's not only that,
or even
it's
like
about the
new age,
break
like
points.
new agents, new maps, same thing.
Yeah.
It's all about the breakpoints, right? Because it's 5 weeks of play, 1 breakpoint, playoffs, breakpoint, masters. And a lot of the times, like, they might touch the league play a little bit, but a change happens before that. You don't really adjust stuff for, like, it might be a small adjustment for playoffs, but from playoffs all the way past the masters, it's kind of the same patch. This time it's online quals, breakpoint, the cup, breakpoint, finals of the cup, breakpoint, masters. And then we're going right into online play again,
Well, I think-
which could be happening the same time. They're playing a different patch. Like, that's...
I think there's got to be another breakpoint in the middle of the open quals as the partner teams are reinserted back in. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Okay,
at whatever,
that's
at point the partner teams get the advantage, whether that be the round of 64, round of 16, I don't even know. Like, whenever they would get their advantage, I think you've got to put the breakpoint, like, before that. And maybe that's even when, like, the broadcasts spin up, so you don't even watch before the partner teams are in. I don't know. But, like,
every time this happens, right? It's like you have 1,000 teams qualifying to play 16 teams with Waylay. Then now it's suddenly we have to play Neon.
Yes.
Then Juba Baba came out, and Juba Baba is the best Sentinel of all time, and you have to play him. But in the Cup, Juba Baba got nerfed, and it's Yoru meta again. And suddenly we're in, Masters, I don't know, Timbuktu, and someone's discovered a Tail meta that came alive again. And like, oh my God. I mean, every time you introduce a breakpoint, the competitive integrity potential lowers.
God, imagine what you're saying, Shyo. Imagine KC in this world. Imagine KC and Eng, and they're it's almost as if they're playing on the wrong patch. Like they are on the different patch, but you're like, no, wait, no, they're on this patch. No, I swear, no, but they're in the open qualifiers, but the Masters is on the Masters. Everyone's playing Yoru, but KC are playing Phoenix.
I also
the biggest thing on that. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I would like to see them also have good teams that are non-partner teams be able to skip some part of the OQ. Because I think that's a huge thing that's going to happen. There are going to be good non-partner teams who might then have to go right back to the beginning of the OQ. And I think that is silly. Like, we already saw this in 2022.
If that thing is right, though, Josh, if that, little graphic they made is right, that's not going to be possible.
Right, because then you're playing in Masters. No, it's a great point. So you'd have to reinsert them back in. But then you don't know how many, if you're inserting all of the partner teams in, you don't know how many non-partner teams. What if the entire Masters was non-partner teams?
Well, and this is where
and then you have where they got 32 guaranteed teams or something that you have to reinsert back into OQ later on. Like,
they're going to have to devise a champ point system, I think. Surely.
But then again,
it's crazy to make such a big change to the system after years of refining this version of the system. Yeah. Like, they made this change for good reasons, right? They want the game to be more exciting. They want there to be more incentive for non-partner.
They want to make it harder for me to make VFL.
Yeah. But there are just so many, like, we are going back in time to iron out all the details again. We got
100%.
We got a nice shirt and we pulled a
shit show.
One out. Yeah.
2027 will be a shit show.
Even if it's better than
for those of you who weren't for 2023, it was a shit show. I mean, there was 10 weeks, 10 grinding weeks of stage play. Oh, well, I guess it was 9 weeks.
What if let's say you're MIBR, right? And you decide, I'll use this as a hypothetical. I'm not saying this is going to happen. Okay, we don't want to be a Brazilian partner team, actually. And in fact, if we don't have to be a Brazilian partner team, fuck it, we're South Asian now. And they just like much easier qualification route. Like, is there a reason why? I mean, I guess they
would then have to have 3 players.
Yeah, they would still need to have 3 players. So maybe it's not that, but maybe it's like, you definitely might be able to get around this by getting into a slightly easier region. I'm thinking like Turkey and EMEA. Just like make a roster move.
I'm thinking so EU and EMEA.
That's what I mean. You're a Turkish team, but you may, your team Heretics, but you drop comeback so that you can play in Europe.
Yeah. Right. Let's just finish though with like kind of overall good, bad, like our most positive thing and our like biggest fear perhaps about this new format.
I'll tap in. For me, reviewing all this, 9 out of 10. The 1 out of 10 is just some of these omitted details, which to me don't seem like they're omitted, but they're not decided yet. And that's the scary part. if it's not decided, because I feel like, I mean, I mentioned the House of Cards last episode. You need that base to build off of. If you're trying to include it now and it doesn't work, we're in for a shaky year. GCC, what's happening there? General tier 2 teams that make it deep into a bracket, are they guaranteed a spot in the next one? Because that's how most open quals work, to get some sort of cohesion coming into it. How do champs points work? There's many unanswered questions, and that's why I have to take a knock off the docket. But overall, very positive. I think open quals is dope, and it helps the tier 2 scene by removing it. That was the idea all along. Holy crap. Goodwill Hunting ending. Just leave. Don't show up to Robin Williams' house. Kind of wild. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. I need these questions answered. This guy needs to be interviewed, Mr. Leo Faria, just to talk about the potential of stuff.
We've got him on Plat Chat this week.
Oh shit, ask him. You gotta ask him.
But watch Vodfathers.
Well, yeah. I mean, because again, you don't get to hear about
you
Plat
heard me
Chat
say that, you
until
are.
then. I think I would give this a 7 out of 10. And I think the reason for it being lowered, like, I do think that this is a positive direction. I like the fact that we're doing more tournament-based stuff. I think that's fun. I think the regional stuff has the potential to get very weird very quickly, but might be a positive for the smaller regions that have been in decline and just haven't had, enough investment there. I think, though, there's so many potential problems with how the open qualifiers work, with the visa situation worries me enormously, that we might not even be able to get some of the teams to these events because there's more events and because there's less organizations.
Just quickly on that point, Josh, do you think it's possible that they would let teams, and they have done this did they do this for Ascension once in EMEA, where they let a team play online? Everyone else was on LAN,
EMEA.
but
BBL did it in EMEA, Tier 1, and they ran online
Tier 1.
servers so that they could play. And they played on 50
Do you think it's possible they might do that?
I don't think that would work every time, though, because it's, for example, if a Brazilian team can't make it to an event that's happening in the United States, where can they make it where they're going to have good ping? What are they going to do? Like, fly in a helicopter just like above the US airspace? Go to Mexico? You don't even have that good ping. But I mean, that might be workable, but I just think it's more likely that they do the kind of thing that we saw for Reykjavik in the past, where people just weren't able to go. You just had a fucked up
Unlucky.
situation. And I think that's more likely to happen. I mean, I also just think that there's going to be a lot of open qualifier games happening all over the world. It's going to be a bit of a mess. You might not be able to watch all of them. You also might not be able to get them in your language. Yeah.
I just realized one last thing that wasn't kind of said, but we figured out on stream as well. Age of playing was lowered by 1 year, rumoredly, up to 17 because of the fact that Tier 2 kind of doesn't exist. The secondary question of academy teams, what the hell happens to those? Yeah. Where do those players play? I mean, now they're purely academy because it's not, Nismo, who's owning a restaurant in a school uniform, going to the academy to play. It's actually people who are probably 15, 16 being trained, and doing their thing in academic form of being a younger squadron. But my question is, do they just scrim 24/7? They can't play in any ecosystem whatsoever because the whole year just seems like it's playing round and round and round and round and round again. There's no broadcast.
They'll just drop the academy teams. Is my expectation. The whole point of this is to try to entice in other orgs. So in theory, you don't need academy teams because you're trying to pull in more and more organizations. Yeah. Two more caveats. One is the age thing that you've talked about, Shyo.
Yeah.
The reason that they've got it set to 18, generally speaking, is because when you travel to another country, that makes it super safe that a player will never be not allowed to play a LAN because they are too young. Now, the more that you reduce the age thing, we actually talked about it this year because China had a lower age requirement, or did it? No, sorry. It was for the Ascension teams because the teams in Tier 2 this year are potentially going to be allowed to play in Shanghai. But I think the age limit there is still 18 or something. And I can't remember the details. The point is, the conceptual point is that the age limit is formed by the country you are playing in, not by Riot. It's due to child labor laws in the countries that you're playing the LAN event at. So they might decrease the age limit down to 14 if they want to, but they got to hire some really fucking good lawyers to explain why you're flying out a 14-year-old to play for you at, you know, one of these LAN events in, I don't know, the United Kingdom. I mean, they'll tell them to get down the coal mines instead of playing a LAN event.
They have an entire...
One more point, sorry. Final point is that in order for Tier 2 teams to thrive like they do in Counter-Strike, it is not to do with how the publisher designs the VCT format or any esports format. It is to do with how lax you are on sponsors that you can take. The Counter-Strike Tier 2 scene is propped up by gambling money. And if you don't allow gambling money or other things like alcohol sponsorships, I don't know, fucking... drug adjacent sponsorships like weed maps or whatever the hell companies are out there nowadays doing that kind of stuff.
Sideshow's train robbing business.
Yeah, the train robberies. Like, the more restrictive you are, and you could argue the more moral you are as well, because I'm, some people don't just see this as being a, overly policed thing. They see it as, we shouldn't be just pushing sponsorships that are to do with things that might have a public ill. Like, the more restrictive you are with that kind of stuff and the more you try to limit it, the less it's going to be feasible, even if Riot are, paying you out the ass for making it to cups and masters events. So I think there's a real secondary thing going on here, which is how restrictive are they going to be with these sponsors for the lower level teams?
Yeah. I'll go last here quickly. I would also give this like a 7.5 out of 10. I think the direction is good. I'm just very worried about the visa stuff. I think it will cause quite a few problems across the globe, and people will be quite angry or upset. And 100 Thieves fans will definitely be upset because their team probably won't do as well as they hope, and they'll wonder why they don't see them play any games. But that's a positive for me. The complaining, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've probably... I mean, that's the thing. There are so many questions that we still don't actually know the answer to, right? Like, there will more. I'm sure we'll talk about this later on in the year as well, where they reveal, how many partner teams are there, all this kind of shit that we
subscribe to the channel, follow the podcast if you're listening to it. We'll talk about it next time, because right now I want to talk about the teams that have played so far in some of the regions in the world. Hot takes.
Yeah, I want to go first. Hands. Well, yeah, I want to go first because this was my idea, but I want to go first. I just want to talk. Idea. Let's talk. It's my idea. I just want to talk about a team that I'm a little bit worried for. Okay. Now, of course, we haven't seen, as we record this, we are recording this after the MEA games on Wednesday. So we've seen those games. We haven't seen any of Pacific Week 2. We haven't seen any America's games. And we haven't seen, for instance, Fnatic Vitality. So, but my hot hand is going to be about a team in Pacific, a team that I'm a little bit worried about. And that is our current champions, Nongshim Red
Taking my shit.
I'm so sorry, Shyo, if you wanted to talk about
I'll
this
take
as well.
Another one. Go.
So for me, Nongshim, right? Obviously, they played against Paper X. They lose to Paper X. That in itself is not necessarily a massive deal. I would even say that the fact that Francis didn't look that great on Waylay, Waylay's getting nerfed anyway. I mean, that should be a positive for them to move on to something else anyway. So you might even see that, none of it's that big of a deal, whatever. But I'm a little bit concerned for them in terms of, I think the map pool changes have hurt them. They obviously haven't had a lot of time to kind of work on that stuff. I think the map pool is going to take them some time. I think they also do need to find a kind of new identity. And I also think that DRX, whilst they didn't look amazing, particularly on Fracture against Team Secret, they are still a team of very talented players, right?
You're thinking about the very next game that they're about to play.
Oh, I'm thinking about, this week. And this is the thing as well, right? Not just this week, but the group that they are in, right, is a very, very tough group. And look, I fully expect them, even playing a terrible game, to beat Team Secret, and with the way Gen G look, to beat Gen G as well, right? I'm expecting that 100%. However, if they do lose this game to DRX, there is also a very real possibility that Global are looking pretty good, and they could lose that game. And the thing is, and we can talk about this a little bit as well with BBL, like if you go 2-3, let's say they beat Gen.G and Secret, but they go 2-3, they're going to finish 4th and they're going to be starting in the lowest. And their chances of making it then to London are very slim in a very stacked Pacific. So for me, like this game, that's kind of where Nongshim have been screwed, I think, is that, you know, they've had 2 very tough games. They didn't get a nice free, like Paper X, they're playing a terrible Gen.G this week, right?
Yeah.
They've been given a little gift. Global, here's a little gift for Secret for you to start off with, you know, early on. They're not getting that. They've got 2 hard games coming right up the bat, and like they need to win this game. Now that they've lost to Paper X, like they need to win this game, otherwise they could be in some real trouble. And you know, like we saw it with last year, T1 did this, right? They won the first Masters and then didn't make it to the second one, and still made it to champs because they've got a lot of champs points already. So almost like their chances of making champs are much greater than their chances of making London. But I still think that it would be considered a failure if they didn't even really put up a fight to even get close, which is possible in the group that they're in. So Nongshim, you, my friend, need to lock in.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna throw you this one. Give Shyo more time to cook. NAVI are gonna top their group with or without exit. Is my take. I think that I went back and watched a little bit of the game, and Heretics had some bad moments for sure. I was looking at it from Heretics POV for reasons that we'll go on to later on, but I really, really like the core of the team that they've built here. The Hero Ruxic core is fantastic. Philu's Chamber was actually moving kind of different out there, and Chloric's a beast. Even without the incredible clutches that he was putting up, Chloric's just such a good addition to the team, and the calls that he was making, this was part of one of the things I was noticing when I was going back over the game, were like really, really nice. His mid-rounding was very solid. He had a couple of moments early on Pearl where I think he called a bit too much like hard hitting into the B site in particular was the one that I was thinking of. But the mid-round plays that he was making, especially on Lotus, really, really nice, which I think is a great test of a map for an IGL too. Is like, you know, you're feeling out the map of which areas that they're going to put pressure on and how you can pivot away from them, what the ult situation is like. And they really learned from the Harbor ults in map 1 and brought it into map 2 and managed to avoid them very nicely. And the thing is, like, it's their main duelist has a 0.58 rating, -23, and -11 first kill to first death, and they beat Heretics. I think even Kolosha will be able to play better the next time, whether or not they have Exit. And if Exit does come back, they're looking great. The other competition in their group, it's not that stiff. Liquid, Foot, currently looking like the best teams there. That's beatable. Like, Navi are looking like they could have a great start with a bit of a gamble of a roster move, but I fuck with it.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to jump off both your heads like a diving board, I guess, that elevates you before you jump in the deep end and get in there. First of all, TMV's point, a good team that was kind of at the top that we might have expected to stay up high is falling, and they've already fallen in their first game. And Josh is saying that Navi is going to start winning out. They face Navi. This team is Gentlemates. The guys who broke records, Martine, up in the business. I think they have a 1 win under their belts. They might not even make the playoffs. KC is up next. Then it's Navi. Heretics, who have 3 weeks with getting used to their sub. No more comeback problem. The duelist is actually playing how the coach wants to play. And then fucking week 5 Team Liquid. The best team in the world is week 5 Team Liquid. I don't care who they face. They could face people that have invulnerability. Nats will outspeed you to win. It's crazy. But this team specifically, I feel like has lost their X Factor identity of how they win even ultimate rounds, man. If you look at what happened in the past with Martine, I was Vodfathers, I think, with Trick a little bit on how he uses his Yoru ult, but has horrible mechanics inside it, would only ever use this ult to kind of get into a space to crunch with his team. He's tried it with Phoenix on Haven specifically, where he runs it back, but he gets interrupted a lot of the times before he gets to see backside from Garage to have impact, or his ult runs out. And as a result, yes, his flashes are cool, their team play is kind of nice here and there, but they're losing their flip rounds. They're losing some of their eco stuff where, Yoru cheating space, having a cruncher, having a distraction. I don't think Neon does it well enough either, because that Yoru TP is such a surprise. The flash pop is just, first of all, you can, gate crash in the mid round a little bit first and then do it on a site where you already have man advantage. That's all gone for Gentlemates. That Pearl match was kind of just like a head-to-head duelist, hit a site, you push pull, ranges from here and there. every map is not Pearl. Fracture requires that Yoru gameplay that Martin likes. Haven, we saw the lack of Yoru for Martin. This guy looked good, but he never had those proper crunches. And KC might figure something out or be like a flash in the pan this week. If they're not, and they win against KC, NAVI, I don't think Gentlemates figures it out to break their kind of construction that Josh was talking about in terms of like, Cork is so good, everyone's fitting into their roles. These guys are playing ranked every day, 8 hours on stream together. Like, dude, I feel like this team is grinding more than anybody else right now. I'm watching a lot of Heroes games. And then Heretics and Liquid having the time to work out whatever problems they have already. Mates has a big gap that will just see them free fall out of the playoffs. And if they start like Nongshim in the lowers, I mean, they will ultimately lose one game. I feel like this is not the flawless Yoru world breakers that we saw before, world record breakers, excuse me, that we saw before.
I mean, I just first want to say shout out to Clark, came into my Twitch chat the other day, plays VFL apparently when internationals are on. I know, yeah, kind of cool.
Did he?
But
does he
yeah,
do any good? Was he?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I didn't want to. Didn't want to
roast
ask.
him.
But yeah, but he says if they qualify, he's buying Ruxic and Hero no matter what. And to your point though, Shyo, I consider this KC Mates game, to me, you talk about Sideshow, like one of the problems with this current format is you don't know how important these games are, like when it's going on. Whoever loses this Gentlemates KC game, someone's losing their job on whichever team loses. I'm not going to say right after it, but after the stage, there is, if you are either team and you lose this game, like you're not doing anything this stage. And both of these teams, I think, like if Gentlemates go from, making a Masters to deeply underperforming, they'll make a roster move. If KC, if it all falls apart, God knows how much will change. Like the whole org might change. Yeah. They might just fold for 2027 and just beg Riot, just spend the rest of the time begging Riot to get them into
the ones with their heads on the block at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of like that. That was three interesting, good takes, I think, overall. Maybe the people will disagree. If you do, leave a comment down below. Let us know. But now let's move on to the Slaughterhouse. The Slaughterhouse. Never mind.
Well, let me try.
Oh, it worked.
The Slaughterhouse.
Sorry, we're being harsh on light. I mean, it's 1 a.m. where he is.
It is late.
The Slaughterhouse. What's the Slaughterhouse? Well, basically, this came from on my time on Plat Chat this week, where almost every single game was a guarantee in Pacific. So the 6 Pacific games, I will just read them out for the people who might not be familiar. So the 6 Pacific games this week are DFM versus T1. DFM coming off a terrible performance. Nongshim versus DRX. Team Secret versus Global. RRQ versus Varel, who looked terrible. Full Sense versus Zeta. And Gen.G versus Paper Rex. It looks completely one-sided in a lot of those games, right? And thus we ended up guaranteeing 4 of them on a rival podcast.
What was the ones that we didn't? I thought it was
the only one we didn't guarantee was I picked DFM, and the only reason I picked DFM was because I knew that everyone else would be a guarantee, and I wanted to avoid 6 out of 6. But in my heart of hearts, I accept that DFM are big underdogs in that game.
Yeah.
But this is where this segment comes from, because when you look at these 6 games, what on earth? Normally when this happens, the chances of actually all 6 games being, finishing the way we expect is actually extremely low, right? So what I wanted to ask you two was, out of these 6 games, everyone seems to think that, the underdogs have no chance. But in which games do they actually have a chance? What is the most likely? I want us to rank them in terms of let's start with the least likely game. Which team has no chance? Which team has no chance?
Gen.G beating PaperX. It's absolutely impossible based on what they've been doing so far. Literally an impossibility unless they completely turn the ship around or PaperX decide not to turn up to the game.
See, I actually did have a different one in my head.
Unless it's that clip at the end of the Pokemon tournament where PaperX get disqualified for popping off by throwing their headset on the floor. Unless it's that, they're good.
I mean, doesn't PaperX have a clause to where they play that Pearl against RRQ game where they just get silly with it? Isn't that PaperX clause exist at least once or twice a year?
This is not it.
No.
Can I offer you a counter opinion, Josh? What about Global versus Secret? Is that not less likely?
I literally think Secret are a better team than Gen.G right now.
Oh.
Holy.
I was thinking in my hot takes of saying that Gen G were the worst team in VCT currently, and then I thought, nah, I haven't watched China.
VCT, that's how
exactly.
China exists.
But are they worse than Pacific currently? I think they might be. I think Gen G would struggle in a game against Secret
America's
and Pacific.
play yet.
No, but I mean, of the regions apart from China, Gen G have been the team
Give
that I
Sen
thought
some
have played
credit.
the worst. Well, anyway, I didn't go with the hot take because I don't necessarily believe it myself, but Dude, I really think... The thing is as well, Secret are known for occasionally getting crazy upsets. Like,
And if you believe in the curse.
I'm not saying it's
bottom
likely.
4 though, right?
I'm not saying it's likely.
So, but would you put that next? Is that next for you out of these games? Out of DFM, T1, Nongshim, DRX?
You know,
Is Global Secret next?
I might even say Varel have a worse chance of upsetting RRQ. Varel were horrid, man. But the thing is, I actually think the Varel players are better than they've shown. So if they do turn up, there should be like, it should close the gap a little bit. But they were horrid, like absolutely awful in that game.
Yeah, that's fair.
I want to rank RRQ Varel as the most guaranteed. I feel like there's just too much of a tier gap, inconsistency between the teams and how good and bad they can play. I'd say Gen G Paper X, man, dude, some of these PRX rounds that they lost, like in that first game against Nongshim, were so silly. Like, they could easily do that against Gen G. And yeah, Gen G, they don't know what they're doing. They can still shoot the gun, though. We forget they can still shoot the gun. Sometimes.
Not very often.
But, dude, like, I have never seen, and I say this every time we watch PRX play because it gets worse and worse, Alex get that mad. Like, we heard the death slam through the caster mics.
Yeah.
Like, there was some crazy shit going on.
Devi was shooting the body against a triple dive comp. Guess what? Didn't matter. Didn't matter, still won the game against the reigning champions of Master Santiago. What the fuck are we talking about?
He's got a point.
Okay.
Fine, we'll put Paper X last.
But I am down to join Shyo on the RRQ Varel as the next one. Yeah, I'm down for
RRQ Varel. Then
Secret God. I feel so. Just no global fans. I'm not even putting this as disrespect on Secret. I'm giving respect to you, Global.
I think it's respect to Global anyway. Like, the only thing this showcases is that there's two even shittier games than Global's destruction of Team Secret.
Facts. Then it's Full Sense Zeta. I think then it's Full Sense Zeta. Full Sense are kind of cooking right now. I think Primmy's about to farm. There's many Primmy IGLs on VLR right now, or VFL right now, which are...
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Then
so
I think
our top two is between DFM T1 and Nongshim DRX.
They're pretty close games.
In theory, they could be.
Now, I picked DFM and gave a hot take that Nongshim weren't good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll lean towards DRX and I'll lock T1. I think as good as DFM can be, I still think there's a gap between T1 and DFM.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I think the Nongshim game, they either win on Fracture or they win, even though the Fracture didn't look that good, Nongshim, I think they win on Fracture against what DRX showcases, and I think they also win on Bind if DRX ban Fracture instead of Bind. I think that puts up DRX. I think the thing is, though, if DRX... We actually don't know very much about what DRX look like on maps that aren't Fracture, because the only other map that we showcased was the Pearl, where they dominated playing double duelist with a chamber. And I expect that more of their maps look like that than the Fracture composition that they showcased. Like, Fracture is quite unusual in the map pool currently. I would think that DRX might even have a better chance of upsetting Nongshim. I might be on board.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I just wanted to do this because I was...
It's
shocked by. I mean, it is truly an unbelievably bad week, which is kind of crazy because I feel like EMEA and Americas are getting really good weeks, but then Pacific.
Whoa! Behind you guys, there's smoke. There's smoke rising. Everything is on fire.
Literally
everything is on fire.
Oh my goodness! Well, this one, we only have one team to talk about.
Oh no, we got another. We have another. I have a player to talk about as well, but we can talk about the team.
We'll start with what's in the show notes. In the show notes, we're talking about one team, and that's Team Heretics. Now, Light, I believe we have a little article here. Sideshow, why don't you take us through this?
Yeah, so after one match in Stage 1 with Comeback, Heretics have decided to kick his ass to the curb, and per their own video announcement talking about this, they held trials over the last 3 days to decide upon his replacement, settling on a Lithuanian duelist called Koshmaras. Now, I don't know about you, but holding tryouts over 3 days doesn't sound like they really anticipated this change coming. That sounds quite like a heavy reaction to me. Yeah, quite sudden, quite reactive to the game that just happened. But no, this was not an overreaction to the NAVI loss, they say. This has been happening for a while, that they've been struggling with Comeback's communication, which was a big problem for the team. But also something that I have not really been able to get to the bottom of at all. Not that I've talked to like Neil Zinio or Weber or anybody, but just from watching the games, I went back and did a VOD review of this to try to figure it out. They said there is a fundamental incompatibility with the way that we and Comeback look at the game. And they specifically mentioned in advantage situations, because they said there were so many advantage rounds that we threw away.
Yeah.
And then we did a VOD review and we realized that we and Comeback just have a fundamentally different approach to the game. So I went back and I looked at all of the rounds on Lotus where they were up players, and Comeback did not sell those rounds. He sold maybe one of those rounds. Actually, you could argue 2 of the rounds, but one of them was him hunting for an ace in a 5v1. And I think that is just like
1v5. Yeah,
exactly. That one is just like, you can't put that on this guy. He did overpeak in a 5v2 pretty badly, and then he took another kind of rough fight as well. But mainly when I went back and watched, most of those advantage situations were Rien's making bad plays or Woot making bad plays. It was not really Comeback. Now, maybe I'm reading too much into it, and it's like that Comeback playing too passively, because he wasn't really aggro lurking as Chamber on the attack side. And his defensive setups were very passive and like playing for retake instead of trying to get good info in places. Like he wasn't really getting posted up on deep angles for info. So maybe it's this kind of stuff that they mean. But to me, that is coming from the coaching staff. Like if I have a player who doesn't even comm properly and he's running a setup that we didn't agree on at start of round, that would be baffling to me. Like surely Boo is just telling him like, you go here, you hold here, this is our defensive setup, and that's coming from the coach. So I don't really understand what the issue is, but they've decided, fuck it, enough's enough.
Yeah,
we got to make a change.
I think if we try and read between the lines, Josh, of like what they're saying there about the disadvantage situation, let's just take them at their word that, you know, it obviously like the English, you know, communication problems, I think we can just accept that like that is a problem. And
if you want a good example of that, by the way, round 2 on Lotus, the entirety of Heretics retakes A after Comeback saw the team going to B. And he just doesn't comment or doesn't comment clearly enough, and they literally retake the entire wrong site, and Woot gets killed.
Yeah,
it's an eco round, so it actually doesn't affect the game that much, but that must be tilting to play with when you can't trust a teammate's comms like that.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, the communication stuff obviously is absolutely part of it. I'm just thinking like of the teams that like Comeback has been on before, someone like, you know, a BBL Pacific when he was on that team before, I'm thinking, how do they, or like, what's their mentality and approach to like, you know, being in advantage situations? They're probably
fucking
just like,
swing 'em.
Yeah, just fucking go and swing them. And I think that that's what it might be, is that like, you know, Neil Zinio and Weber like, no, you need to, you know, come the like, oh, let's swing together and you hold this and you know, let's play smart and all that. And he's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's not how you play the game. Like, have you seen the best teams in the world? They don't. The Paper X wouldn't do that.
And that's what confused me a little bit, though, going back over the match footage, because I'm looking at that match, and again, I only reviewed Lotus for this because it was the one where they lost the majority of their 5v4s. He wasn't the guy doing that. He was not swinging for an extra kill. Like I said, he did it twice that put his team into bad situations, but there were other players doing it to a higher degree, to be honest with you. Like Rien's and Woot really looked uncomfortable in those spots. So I mean, maybe he's just vocally against it, and they realize, like, you know, you can make a mistake, but as long as you're willing to shift it. I thought they just played way too much for set retake. Like, they actually should have been fundamentally changing their approach to that map. Like, it shouldn't have even... They lost a number of their 5v4s because they were playing full 5v4 retake on the A site with no ability to get in because their Sky had already died. These are lost rounds, guys.
Yeah. It just feels like it might just be fundamental ideology, even though the actions are fine on the actual VOD. Like, it might be conversations after the fact. That's why.
Yeah.
behind things. That's a definitive case. The one team I wanted to mention, we might talk about them a little bit later as well. BBL, man. Just based off the vibes I was looking at on stage today.
Can I just quickly ask, Shyo?
Yeah.
Just before you go into BBL, like, are Team Heretics cooked for this stage?
No.
Is there any hope left?
They're free, TMV. They're now free.
Okay.
Every excuse we've had on every pre-show, because I've been going live for
You think they'll get better? You think that,
I
like,
think they 1,000% get better, man. All I can hear about Heretics all day and night, are they used to comeback? Oh, coach's confession. Yeah, we've been working with comeback a lot. It's going to go really well. Oh, comeback. Yeah, we have them on the op now. Oh, we should put them on Neon. They got to comeback on this. They got to do that. No more. Let these guys roam free. Let Benji be the rage machine he is. Get this new blood in. He's going to be the baby bay. This guy, whatever his name is it Kowalski from the Madagascar or Penguin? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's going to come
Kowalski.
through. I keep messing his name up. I call him Kalasha or whatever from Navi.
Koshmaras.
Koshmaris, there you go. Respect to your name. Respect to your gameplay. Set this team free. Be the vibes. Everybody's on the same page. And I want to see them lose together. I'm tired of seeing this team lose
I want to see them lose together.
Yeah, if
I
they
want to
lose-
see them lose together.
I want to see them lose together because it feels like they're losing on two different pages right now.
Be
and
nice
that's
if they
the
didn't lose.
I mean, I hope they win. I just also hope they win. Like I'm a lover, not a hater right now. Let me hit on BBL real quick though. Dude, Rose, this guy, everything's on fire in his brain. You got LaRock like saying, haha, sit down, there's no way you can do anything when it's like 10-2 or something, 8-2, he's losing, and Rose is like, oh fuck, in that round, they double faked, they pump faked me, and my call was bad. My rim run was trash. Oh fuck, 4 of us died again and our eco's trash. And LaRock's like standing up, shit talking everyone. The entire team's like, you know, just over the campfire with the sticks, just doing the dances, just absolutely just chanting. Vibes are good. Rose and Mental Palace burning down. And I feel like this loss might hurt him the most and cause this fire to spread into more losses. I feel like the overall macro in reaction from BBL today was terrible, man. And it was always an overreaction. Dude, these guys would show up against BBL on like, I think it was on Pearl, on the A site, insta 4-man response. Everybody could just easily walk over towards the B side. And it happened multiple times all the time. It was just the defense calling, which should be the easy part, was not going well for the team, and you could see it on Rose's face. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Right. Can I just quickly ask, as someone that was, you know, at a pub quiz, and instead of, so I did catch bits of this game, you know, in the breaks in my quiz. I was trying to watch some of it. I got to watch a little bit, but not all of it. So I'm just looking at like a VLR page here, and I'm looking at them play Waylay Neon, where LaRock has already shown that his Neon struggles, and Lovers Rock is going 3-18 on Waylay.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm looking at Split, and they're playing Jet. Can I just say, as someone who does still have some belief in Yoru, what, like it can't be worse than that.
That's what I was preaching when we were watching. Let me turn my flamethrower.
It cannot be worse than those numbers that I'm looking at and playing Jet. Like Yoru, I'm just gonna say it, Yoru is better than Jet.
I'll turn the nozzle to mist, right? I'll turn the nozzle to mist.
Yoru is better than Jet.
Yeah, I talked about Rose. Let me just flame the whole team really quick. Did we forget what we were good at? Aiming? The whiffs, lack of trades, re-explorations without your brain on. The shit, judge whiffs, man. When you know people are coming, you have a boom bot and you're jump peeking into B main to use it instead of just like moving away. I mean, that might have not even been BBL, man. I'm getting my brain clouded.
No, that was 7. That was 7 on Pacific.
Both teams, I would have played both of them. Fuck it, they're all both on fire. We're gonna
hold on.
Calm me down.
Okay. So there were problems with the defense side calling. You're definitely correct. They started getting panicked on Pearl, and they were overplaying their defense side, like you're saying, because they were already boomed from attack. But really, when you zoom out, the big problem is with their attack side calling and with their attack side performance from the duelists specifically. They were still winning like 60% of the defense sides over the course of this game, but they only won 4 out of what even is this? 23, I think it is. 4 out of 23 rounds on attack. And Rose only started calling properly on the attack side Pearl by round 7. And even with much better calling from that point onwards for the next like 6 rounds or something, they couldn't do a fucking thing because Lover's Rock looks utterly useless. Attack side on Pearl, he went 1-12 on Waylay. 1-12, bro. And like, I'm looking at him, imagining what he would be doing on the Yoru and like how he would be taking the fights. And I think it just comes down to the fact that he wouldn't be feeding. Like, bro was actually feeding in a lot of these situations, looked really uncomfortable. He's not a Yoru one trick, at least in terms of how he's played in tier 2 before. But God, did he look absolutely lost and shite across this series. Like, the attack side, again, goes 4-9, which, by the way, on Split, this is on Split where he's playing the Jet. Nobody got a first kill except for LaRock on their attack sides. 0-2 Kremen, 0-2 Lovers Rock, 0-2 Loiter, 0-1 Rose. Like, they're not being able to find these openings. They are getting outplayed in scrappy situations, very, very scrappy situations. Both teams are willing to just take timings on each other. Echo, I mean, everyone was mad confident on Eternal Fire because they got off to such a hot start on Pearl and then closed the map out fairly easily, that they just would take any aggressive timing they wanted anywhere on the map. And BBL didn't seem to have a layer of punishing that. They were just trying to do their own timing-based play on them and finding themselves in uncomfortable situations that they weren't in control of. I thought Rose called a really poor attack side on both of these maps, actually. It got a little bit better towards the end of Pearl, but didn't actually result in many rounds won. And the duelist situation is just not working for them at all. I do not want to see LaRock playing Neon. Get this guy the fuck off Neon. And if that means that you want to run Lover's Rock on Neon, give it a try. I don't care. But, like, figure out something that works. This duelist duo combination for them does not work.
Okay.
Yeah. And watching, all true.
Well, let's give a quick heat check then. Again, I didn't watch this game, so I'm not fully in the know here. But you know, Shyo, you were high on Team Heretics still. What about BBL? Are you still a believer?
I just said I'm sorry. What? I just said I wasn't. I know.
But
believer. Okay.
like,
Like,
believe,
like going
believe.
forward,
am I a
can this
BBL
team
believer
turn it
going
around?
forward? I
Yes.
don't. It would require these guys to give LaRock the keys back to the Lambo, get him on the jet, and go back to, like, you know, your old car that kind of broke down just so your boy can have a nice car that you currently have. Get on the Yoru again. I'm not sure they're going to do that. And for me, for that reason, I'm out. I'm going to have to not invest in this one. I don't have a counter offer. I'm not on the same train as these guys. I don't see the adjustment. I don't see what's the guy's name? I keep saying Kowalski. Koshmaris. I don't see a Koshmaris solution here. I don't see a binding light. I don't see. I don't,
Just gonna make up a word.
I don't see.
Let's see. Kata.
Yeah, I just don't see a solution. So I feel like they're still stuck in the quicksand. I'm hoping to see a stick come out. Maybe it's what's their next matchup? Really quick. Just wanna
Giant
check.
X. They play against Giant X.
God
next.
must win.
And then they have Vitality and
But the thing is, they have to not end
That's the
fourth,
thing.
right? They have to not end fourth, which means they need an upset over Fnatic or Vitality. And at this point, it's looking like an upset.
And they also
right?
need an upset against someone to beat Eternal Fire as well. Like if Eternal
My
Fire
confidence
beat
in the team-
Pacific
Potentially.
and
I mean, it depends what happens. Like, Vitality could lose to Fnatic and BBL and then might end up
True.
being ahead of them on head-to-head or something like that.
True.
It's just
What they can control is they need an upset, preferably over Vitality, because Fnatic have already beaten Eternal Fire.
my thing though is I had this team ranked second in my power rankings coming into Santiago, and it's because I've never seen them cry. I never saw my father cry. I thought he was a hero. You know, I don't know why we got so deep with this. But then they shed a tear. They had a system where they just couldn't aim, or not a system. They had a few games they couldn't aim. In that first entire setup, other than the split game in the grand finals that made them qualify, they were playing some crazy Valorant. They were aiming like gods. Their anti-eco conversion rates with Lover's Rock on that fucking Outlaw were insane, man. After that, I'm like, okay, no team can stop this team. Just like Nongshim's Dombey, we've got BBL's aim. Their aim now, I think, for a few just days in a row has not looked perfect for me. And with that being gone, once again, I'm out. I keep referencing the same goddamn show. I just can't. I can't sign in. I can't invest in the team. That's all it is.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the other side of the coin then. And Wakey, I mean, this one is for our producer, who again it is past 1 a.m. Wakey. Looking at the other side, were we all sleeping on Eternal Fire? I mean, this team is even without SOP. I think that's the thing, right? Like, I'm
that's
listening
the
to
big
Mini on Platja. He's a knower. He knows the MEA tier 2. He knows what he's talking about. And all he's talking about with this team is like, when they get SOP back, they'll be amazing, right? Well, they don't even fucking need SOP. Is this team is this team an actual contender now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they definitely are. When you're watching them play, they've got a shit ton of confidence. I think they also they wanted this win. Something that's, I think, underplayed in this matchup between the two of them is that Eternal Fire, I think, were 1-6 in terms of tier 2 matches against the core from BBL that were used to play as BBL Pacific. So Eternal Fire had a massive chip on their shoulder. They viewed themselves as, when they both played in Ascension, they were like, they wanted an opportunity to prove that they were better than BBL, but they just lost to them so many times. So this was like a big game for them. But the fact that they were so close to being able to beat Fnatic, there's a world here where they're 2-0. Honestly, there's a world where they're undefeated in maps if we never even went to Lotus. And Eternal Fire managed to close out Breeze against Fnatic. And we're even higher on this team. But they do look legit. Can they beat Vitality coming up? I think we've got to see the Vitality Fnatic game to really know what Vitality's level is at, but I think that game could end up devolving into a bit of a scrap fest too, because Vitality's defensive protocols I don't think are like super clean. I think Fnatic are more likely to shut down a team like Eternal Fire, and they barely did. So
I mean,
yeah, fuck with it.
I'm going to bring it up. They've beaten Vitality before, haven't they not? Or am I confusing the teams?
No, you're confusing the teams. Do you mean recently, like in the offseason?
I mean like in Blender.
Yeah, well, Project Blender, that's a different team. Now, it was still
Really?
Izzy, I think, actually. But yeah, that's a different team. So that is the
Yeah, 'cause
Eternal
that's not
Fire
the old
tier
team.
2
That's
team.
that's the old Eternal Fire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
now
like,
where
but
is-
Eternal Fire has beaten
Yeah, Vitality going to see that org name, and they're going to be.
Izzy's beaten them, though. In that game, Izzy was still playing because he got signed over, and he went
Yeah.
plus 14. 13 and 13 in first kills to first deaths. He took 26 first duels against them and came out even. But yeah, I mean, they are susceptible to being beaten.
Yeah, top threat, I'm not sure of, but I think they're in the same level as like Navi and Foot currently. Like, they're clearly above everyone else in their group. I feel like there's a bit of a gap between them and the people below. You could have some arguments with like Giants and whatnot, but they're looking a bit more consistent in their game plan. Even though the games were weird today, a little bit weird. Let's just see what happens tomorrow or next week.
Okay, and then finally for Wakey, it's time for Americas to join us. About bloody
Wakey,
time.
Americas.
Wakey, Americas. About time. Now, what I just want to quickly do though is just, again, I'm TMV. I'm negative. It's 20 past midnight here. It's late. Let's cut to the chase here. I just want to know, Group Alpha, who's not making playoffs? Let's be negative.
Alpha.
So
in Group
MIBR,
Alpha for the people.
Cloud9, yeah, okay.
MIBR,
Loud.
Cloud9, Lev, Loud, G2, Envy. Who's not
I mean,
making it?
Loud for sure. Loud
for
are playing
sure.
with an assistant coach, and they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have their main IGL. Like, Loud are not making it. They're already
Okay.
in a bad spot.
Loud for sure. But who else?
I think the obvious answer is Envy, or maybe the obvious answer would be between Envy and Leviathan, depending on whether you believe in Leviathan. I'm a little bit scared that Envy will defy expectations. There is no world in which Envy, the guy with the most Yoru one trick of all time after the biggest Yoru nerf, there is no world in which this team should be good. And yet they still have Kesnet and Demon 1, and like Poppin's just going to be swinging people, and it makes me worried to bet against them. But I'm going to say Envy.
I think that Yoru was nerfed and not deleted, so Envy still get to play the game. Extra just doesn't get to play the game twice in a round. He has to pick the perfect time to play in the round. And if there was one Yoru I trust in the world to play that perfect time, it would be Extra. And so I think they're not going to be as bad as before. They still have 4 other players. They weren't as reliant on him like, DRX are for Flashback, or like some other teams are for their Yorus in the business. They've got an entire other system. Sometimes it's Poppin taking over games. Sometimes it's, or it was Inspire, being the best Sentinel on Abyss. Like, the guy was popping off. My team I want to throw out, it sounds crazy. What are MIBR doing?
Oh, you are off the goop.
They're
Am I off
making
the goop?
playoffs.
You are
They're making
off the
playoffs.
goop.
They're making playoffs? Okay.
You think they're ending bottom 2?
I mean, Loud for sure, and I believe in Envy, so it's anyone's game. I can't go against
Yeah,
G2
but just
because
say
I'm like,
Cloud9 or Lev.
but what if I don't
Lev,
want
though.
to?
Lev were definitely the worst. I'm a Lev believer, and I believe in MIBR more
No,
than
but there's a world where it could be Cloud9.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying
think
that I agree Lev are more likely, but there's a world where Lev and Envy are both good.
I'd say
It actually can't be
odds-
MIBR. It cannot be MIBR. It has to be C9 or Lev. It
Okay.
just has to be. I don't know what group I'm smoking.
Pick
I
one,
would
child.
say-
Pick one. I'm going to force you to pick one.
I have Celsius on VFL. It's going to be Lev.
Okay.
Okay. I think
Yeah,
I would. I'm going to go Lev as well. I'm going to say Envy make it.
The C9 Lev game that happens week 1, incredibly important. And Envy also plays against Loud. So, you know, if Envy doesn't win that game, they're
it's over.
cooked. If Lev or C9 lose, like whichever team loses is suddenly in the danger zone of potentially slipping out of playoffs. So there are some really important games very early on in Group Alpha.
Okay, now let's look at the other group, though, which I think is maybe even harder to call. NRG, Fury, 100 Thieves, EG, Sen, Crew. Who's not making playoffs?
EG and
Sentinels.
Are we happy to put EG in there? Definitely.
I think I am, yeah. EG looked like they were a bit of a knock below the other teams that were competing. Now, they can still be an upset team. Like, I'm not counting EG as an absolute bottom feeder. Anytime Dejazine is on, anytime they can get him with an op in his hands playing a great game, yeah. Like, they'll occasionally get, like, an insane performance coming out of somebody like Superman or whatever. But they're just not going to be able to connect it in enough matches, I think.
Okay.
Unless Sen and Crew are both dog wank.
I think Crew explores the meta enough.
Should be better.
Yeah, they just should be. Like,
See,
they'll
this
be
is
using
what
Harbor
this is
and
why
shit.
I'm surprised about this, because I was a Crew believer at the start of the season, but like on Plat Chat, I was shocked when 3 people picked Crew. I just thought people would default to like the names on Sen, like, you know, the Rob
thing
Moore
is-
speech. We've never been bad when John is IGLing.
Well, at the beginning of the year, I would have defaulted to Sen. I think Sen's roster was better, maybe even is better currently as well. But it's the time as well. Like, it's the fact that they've had to change stuff up so recently, and the fact that Crew, in theory, have just been able to sit there, grind, play against the best teams at Santiago, which Sentinels weren't going and boot camping in that kind of stuff. So I think early doors here, Crew have an advantage. Over the long term, maybe Sen are still going to be the better team.
Okay. But I mean, they play each other week 1. I mean, that's another one.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
again, this could decide this kind of thing. I'm a bit worried because I was a Crew believer, but now other people are starting to join, and I'm worried
Yeah.
that I don't
Is
like
it-
that.
Is
Week
it crazy
200
to say?
Thieves, Sen?
Yeah, 100 Thieves they're gonna be chilling. Is it crazy to say Furia? Is it crazy to say Furia could be
Yes,
bottom 2?
literally, it is
Okay,
crazy.
put me in my place. I need to be put in my place. I need your help.
You need to be put in a straitjacket if you're saying the team that hasn't lost a game yet in Americas is going to be bottom 2 in their group.
Yeah, but
Because
it was the
coming
upper.
into the year, sure, but like, what? What's the
I think
argument?
I think it's a little crazy. I don't think it's completely out of the question. They
There we
basically
go.
no. Right, Josh, hear me out. They basically just need to lose one game in the tiebreaker. They just need to lose to one of Sen or Crew. Think about it. It's NRG you would pick to beat them. You
Oh,
wouldn't
I
be
see.
shocked
Like,
if 100
assuming that
Thieves
they
beat
would-
them as well.
I would be a bit, but okay, I can see that world.
You're on board.
Yeah, sure.
They
Here's what I'll
lose
do.
one game to Sen or Crew, and then you end up in like a 3-way tiebreaker where a bunch of teams are on 2 wins. I think it's not impossible.
Here's what I'll do to
It's
make it
very
fair, all right?
unlikely, but sure.
Put EG down there. Does Sen even have Jerwin? Have I seen this guy with the boys?
Oh yeah,
You know
I've
what
got
I'm saying?
no idea what they're doing.
Like,
do we have any clue what's going on?
no. Like, so far, they just
Tarek.
released a Sentinels red chair announcement video, and it was just Ewok talking to the camera. Not sure if he said anything about German in general. Maybe he's on the plane right now. You know, Kesna type situation. Who knows? Canada's not too far from LA, but I think slotting EG and Sen for now because we just don't know about German, and EG don't have DGs in on Yoru, like is a whole thing. His op is not going to be omnipotent anymore. So there's a whole thing with that. What is next on the docket, TMV? Take me
What's
home.
next on the docket? Last up is, I mean, as we've kind of alluded to, there are some certified bangers that we are about to see. Now, one of them is happening pretty soon. I assume when most people are watching this, it might have already happened, which is Vitality versus Fnatic. Now, we don't have the luxury of
knowing what's happened. You might be watching this as it has happened or is happening, in which case probably go watch it and then come back to this. But that's obviously a crucial gigabanger game from two teams that, we expect, even though they didn't go to Master Santiago, we're expecting them to be two of the best teams in EMEA. How does it go? What's going on in this game? Is there should there be a clear favorite? Is there a clear favorite? Here we go. Oh.
Batman Begins. It's the Chronicle Dark Knight arc. It starts now.
PlayStation 2.
He's going to be tech decking on these fools, bro. Kick flipping on Fnatic. Does this prop make any sense? Not really. I believe in the Kron Revenge arc. Personal context, had Kayak, had Kron in the VFL. I dropped the Kayak toy. I don't want to play with you anymore. Meme. You know what I mean? I'm locking in Vitality. I think Vitality's system with Yampi just improves day by day. The Sayonara, dude, there were like some rounds in their first match where like, oh my God, the roles make sense. Like this match was like this round was harmony. Like everybody did their role correctly. It was nice. Other rounds, one guy messes up a little bit. Sayonara has a bit of a whiff. Durka's not in the right spot in the right time. But if the timings are legit, if these guys understand and have the fire beneath them to take their old captain and team down, I think Vitality are up there, bro. I think this is their match to win and Fnatic's match to lose.
I'm going to devil's advocate you here.
Okay.
Because I feel like you're forgetting one big thing.
Yep.
The sleeper pick. The absolute most boring team of the past from EMEA, Fnatic. But, hold on. It's a switch up. Because now they are no longer... now they are no longer the boring team.
Holy shit.
Now they're the fucking mad bastard raving rabbits. And they are going to be running it down. And this new style Fnatic, after you give them a couple of weeks, now maybe they're not there just yet. Maybe not just yet. But they're not the Snorlax anymore, okay? This team is now going to be fighting fire a little bit with fire.
They got a CPAP. They got a CPAP.
Yeah, and I mean, TMV's already said that there's a very high likelihood that they win on some kind of like Fracture or Lotus kind of pick. But I think this is going to be a banger. I do not like normally you would be tuning in and you'd be like a little bit of a snooze. I mean, the story is great, but potential snooze fest. This is going to be people taking chunks out of each other.
I'm 100% with you there, Sideshow, and you've perfectly encapsulated it because I think you're right. I think Fnatic are going to be running around like a little bunny and they're going to be taking chunks.
Listen, man.
This is just an excuse for him to eat chocolate.
I've put 20 bees inside my household. I have 20 bees in my walls because Vitality has now ascended to the land that was promised. First place, EMEA. It's happening this time. We needed to wait till stage 1. Kickoff, that's before the trophy. Who cares about that? Kickoff trophy? I don't get. Is it even real? Stage 1 is.
That was delicious,
let me tell
by
you.
the way. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, whoever you like, go for it, man. 50-50 matchup. If Fnatic win, I'm happy. Vitality win, I'm happy. I hope Vitality win. Let's go.
A good game.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Let's go to Americas. We were discussing them. I mean, Shyo and me apparently are a bit down on them, but Sideshow, you can tell us why this is still a banger, which is NRG versus Furia. What percent? I think we can probably agree Furia are going in as underdogs here.
Yeah, definitely.
But what percent would you give Furia?
I'd give them a solid like 40 to 45. Basically, like almost coin flip territory, just because we have no idea what the form of the players on either side is going to look like. You don't have a recent match where you can say like, oh, these players were, popping. The
It's
NRG
probably the
guys,
best time to play NRG, really.
yeah, and maybe I'd downgrade that a little bit to more like a 40%, because I think that do you mean it's the best time to play them because they don't have footage on you? Because that is one of the strengths that I would see.
Yeah, they don't like. I feel like when you're an underdog, you want as many unknowns as possible.
I think so.
And
when you're playing against NRG, yeah.
Wait, why though?
Yeah.
NRG didn't even fucking anti-Nongshim. They just played their own game.
Yeah, but historically they have been an anti-team. Historically, they're a lot better at matching up against people when they've played against them before. But yeah, you're
think
right.
with
In
this
that
meta
Nongshim
shift-
game, they didn't really.
Yeah, if they're playing solo duelists with this meta shift, with how many duelists Mata can play that are not Yoru at such a high level inside an actual system, like
The
without
meta's
having to
better for
substitute
them.
anything. Yeah, the meta's great for them. They can play their own game for the first time, I think, very comfortably without
But
anti.
Furia are not Yoru one trick team either. Like
They
Alan
are,
was
but they have a
playing
lot
range
of
stuff.
Yoru Waylay, man. They played a lot of Yoru Waylay.
They did, but they can play the chamber, they can play the omen, like they can play a lot of different compositions at a high level. They also swapped up their breeze comp, I think, right? Because they were previously playing the Jet Yoru, and then they went over to playing like Neon Yoru, something like that. But they could, easily move back to playing Jet. I think that they've got more flexibility than they've showcased, and the only big issue for me with Furia, obviously they are still going in as underdogs, but it's like, is EU still going to have God form? Because his form at Santiago was outrageously good. If he plays a little bit worse, like if he played at that kind of level, I could absolutely see an upset happening.
You're giving Kiko some of his home ground back, though. Like, some of his best performances have been on that Lotus map. You got fucking Fracture coming back in where aggro smokers get to do their thing. Know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
I feel like Kiko Claws might come back. They might readapt the Kiko Claws to their team. That's a big deal.
I'm not that worried about
some of the
Kiko.
Vice stuff being put in. Like, Scuba's one of the best counter
Vice-
players, I feel like, to...
The Vice could
you know,
definitely
some
be
of the stuff.
nasty.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Like,
but also NRG have just had a big map pool nerf too, in theory, because the maps that they love to play, or at least that they historically love to play, have gone. Abyss and Corrode are two of the maps that they most wanted to play at various times. Most recently, they wanted to play the Abyss. At Champions, they wanted to play the Corrode like every single time. Recently, not as much, but these map pool changes I think are better for Furia just because they knock off some of the big strength of NRG.
I don't know why.
I like that word.
I'm just assuming that NRG will be very good at Fracture. I just feel like they're set up to be. They're the kind of team that's going to be good at that map.
I got to ask you a question because Josh mentioned that they lost some strength. Can we look a bit deeper into how they also lost strong? Know what I'm saying? Is that a big factor?
Took me a while, but I got there eventually.
I've got no
Like,
idea why that happened. No idea.
Yeah, I don't either. But I feel like it'll affect the team a little bit in terms of like if they're losing a lot of these maps, not having an assistant coach that helped you win champs was in your system the entire time, developing new strats for like a majority of new maps, like especially with a new player like Kiko in, you can't just sub Kiko's strat for Psalm strat, blah blah blah. Like it's a whole
It's
thing.
definitely strange. Yeah, it's really strange. Puts more effort onto, or more stress onto Bonkar and Ethan. But there must have been a reason why they removed him. Don't know what the reason is.
What's next?
Next and final, I mean, this again, Giga Banger, G2 versus MIBR. I mean, what a
banger.
treat. I feel like we've kind of messed up in America's schedule, to be honest. What you want is a Pacific week 1, because everyone's just excited to see the teams again.
Yeah.
Wait for this. Like, make this week 2 or 3. We've messed up here big time. But this one is going to be a crazy game, I would assume. And I think on Platchat that we 1-3 pick MIBR, which again I found after the fact. I was like, why on earth did we do that? It's G2 in Americas. They're impervious.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still going to defend my MIBR pick. I think that they should be in a really nice position in this matchup, man. Like, Mazzino is just going to be so fucking comfortable. Aspas should be super comfortable. Zekken's actually the player that maybe will be put in some weird spots, but I think if Zekken just plays... If I was in control of this team, I'd be putting Zekken on Neon whenever possible to try to play double duelist comps like that. And...
So you're playing Neon Rays?
Yeah, on maps where you can get away with it, for sure. I mean, if you can play some Neon...
Aspas has a good Neon.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be mad with Neon Waylay on some maps if Aspas is... like the more opping Waylay that we see from Corrode, for example? And some teams run it on Split where you're not as aggro, you are a little bit slower paced with your
You
calling.
want Aspas on Waylay?
I wouldn't mind it if he's put time into it and he's going to use it as a primary AWP duelist. But only if that's the case. I don't want him like... The thing is too, actually, he did play it on Corrode. He played it for MIBR on Corrode at Champions, and it let him do the entrying, refract, and then play for the late round impact. It actually kind of suited him. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind some Neon Waylay with Zekken going in on the Neon. But if they want to play solo duelist stuff around Aspas, I think that's also perfectly fine. And then, Mazzino just becomes your flex guy, and Zekken has to manage on smokes.
I think this leans G2 side. Surprise, surprise. Because MIBR, as you guys are discussing, are trying to discover a lot of things, whereas G2 gets to refine. I think a style of play that is very good for them and not many other teams have been doing past, like I think GE against who was it in the moment? Global against the very last matchup where they had like the deadlock stuff on Vine. Genji, yeah, the post plant stuff. I feel like post plant right now is very strong. Tejo has a few maps where he's still really good, very good on Fracture as well. Pearl 2, Bind, you could have a Tejo mashup in there too if you don't want Sky. With Yoru being gone as well, that could be a case. You could also double up on them. But what I'm trying to say is, while MIBR is figuring out is the double duel as good, is this good, is that good, G2's fixing their protocols in these post plants. It just needs to touch a site and the round might be done. Might go to their classic, this is how we dominate Americas, save it for the playoffs to, you know, start to get better at our double duelisting when we want to. I think that option is still there. It's a very scary option and not many other people are playing that way. But when I see rounds where like it's taking people a little bit of a longer time to rotate, maybe your Neon died, you don't have an instant gate crash anymore, you've let the spike tick for about 10 seconds, you've got 6 seconds to get a pick, and if you can't, double salvo, Astra pull, you're done. Like Brim Molly, salvo, you're done. It's a problem, and I feel like G2 might abuse that, and it's a big advantage against a team that's kind of discovering their comps.
I mean, it's a fair point that you bring up. The G2, I feel like their kind of like roles that they play should be quite obvious, no? Like Bebe's going to play Chamber, and I mean, the weird thing is that actually it was Jaw playing Phoenix, wasn't it? I was going to say Phoenix because I would feel like Jaw is going to play Neon.
Yeah,
the
that
Neon
makes sense. Phoenix stuff would be a little bit strange, but
yeah.
Well, he played the Yoru, right, when they needed the flashes, so maybe Baby just picks it up. Like he
maybe he does just pick up Phoenix, but certainly Chamber on a decent. He can pick up Chamber on a decent amount of maps. Trent is just going to play Sky, Teo, I assume, you know, depending. Leaf obviously can play anything, but Viper obviously is still very good, so that's fine. And then Valorant's obviously your smokes. I just feel like there is a pretty clear direction for them. I wouldn't almost expect them to do anything like too crazy, too surprising, which, as you say, might give them a bit of an early advantage. And it is just G2 in Americas, and I'm sure we've come into many stages over the past year and gone, oh yeah, this isn't the time, don't worry about it. And then they just fucking win anyway, because they just farm Americas.
They didn't do a kickoff.
They did. Well, they didn't do it kickoff, but what? They lost one game.
Yeah,
they lost one game and then completely changed their entire system and then locked in and started dominating.
Yeah.
That's still pretty good.
That's still pretty good.
Either way, all bangers can go any way, and I think you should be watching those bangers to see how they go, and watching us next week to find out what we thought about said bangers. Leave a comment down below. I'd read your comments, but my mom does not allow me to read comments past 12 a.m. UK time, so I can't open the video. I cannot read the comments. Thank you for watching, though.
I've got a final thing, Shyo, actually, while you're making these reminders too. Just another reminder that the merch is on sale still, and if you were looking to try to grab the Santiago stuff, it expires basically as you're watching this video. So as you're watching this video, if you wanted to buy that limited edition Vodfathers merchandise for Santiago and you wanted to support the show, then you got to get on that ASAP. Otherwise, it's gone forever. But yeah, just a reminder for the folks at home.
Buy the merch.
That's a great reminder.
Like and subscribe. Eat your vegetables. Drink some water. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Good night.